the media has been following this like it's a reality show, basically, right? One person's up, one person's down. Warsh, a bit of a known quantity, given that he's been on the Fed before, he's been through Senate confirmation process. I think the biggest question is how the Senate is going to greet him, how Republicans are going to greet him, because we know that one of them, Senator Tom Tillis, has raised concerns about any nominee that Trump puts forward because of the ongoing, federal criminal investigation into Jay Powell and the Fed.
So that's kind of where we want to go, Jonathan. How do you think this is going to play out? Because Mr. Tillis has said he's not moving anywhere until this potential legal issue is resolved. How do you think this will play out in the coming days and weeks?
Yeah, and I mean, it's important to note that he's got some real power because he sits on the Finance Committee, which is the first stop for any nominee. And Republicans only have a one vote majority there, right? So the math is pretty easy. If he opposes him, he might not be able to get through that committee step. But there is a pretty easy resolution, potentially. What he wants is for this investigation to be resolved in some way, basically saying if there's nothing criminal there, stop the investigation, end it. If there is something that they think is criminal, let's see it. Let's put it out there in public. Let's see what the actual charges are, but resolve it one way or another. So whether Trump plays along with that, I think is going to be the big question.
Is there any indication here, Jonathan, that President Trump would be willing to, I don't know, just kind of come to some type of accommodation and let this thing go so that his nominee can, in fact, be vetted by the full Congress?
I mean, obviously predicting President Trump is a challenge, but it seems that he's taken a more conciliatory step. I mean, the Warsh nomination itself is a little bit more conciliatory to some Republicans, and that Warsh is a little bit more of a more orthodox Republican, more traditional person, was first nominated to the Fed by George W. Bush, was confirmed by voice vote back in 2006, obviously a different political era. But, he could have gone with some people who are maybe a little more MAGA, and he didn't. So maybe he is feeling a little more conciliatory for reading tea leaves, but you never know from one day to the next.
I look at the lobby mechanism here in the presidents, the governors of the Echo Building and all. Is there turmoil that you observe, Jonathan Tamari? Or is it sort of just business as we go? It's going to be rote. There's going to be a committee meeting. Photos will be taken. There's a swearing in and away we go. Or is there more behind the scene?
I do think there's turmoil over this federal investigation. I'll say that news of that investigation brought more public pushback from Republicans than I think any other topic that has come up in Trump's second term, maybe only to Greenland, but it's close. There's still a lot of more orthodox Republicans who really believe in free markets and the independence of the Fed. They were really put off by that. So even though Tillis is the one drawing the hardest line, I think there's a lot of concern about it. I think Warsh overall, on his own merits, would get through pretty easily. I think the big question is what happens with this investigation.
Can you suggest in your reading of this, I went back and looked at a couple Warsh essays over the last 10 years, under testimony, do you suggest the chairman-elect, the chairman nominee, I should say, will support Chairman Powell and support the beleaguered governor in this legal process?
I think that's a really important question. I don't know where Warsh would be because obviously he's had to say some things that please Donald Trump in order to get this nomination in the first place. So I think that's a really interesting question that I think maybe some Democratic senators might be asking him when he comes before their committee.